What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my very first reading vlog. These things are meant to be informal, so I'm looking a little bit rough tonight. I'm in my pyjamas. It's Monday night here in Australia, the last day of the month, so March officially kicks off tomorrow, and it was only the last day or two that I've made my final picks on my March TBR. Now I did have a couple of different books in there that I got rid of because I wanted to swap it with one book in particular that I actually bought today, as a matter of fact, and I did a short video on that earlier today for you to take a look at, but I wanted to read Robert R. McCammon's A Boy's Life. I have heard nothing but good things about this book on the internet, and a few booktubers that I follow have raved about it. The reviews on Goodreads alone are jaw-dropping. A lot of 5-star ratings for this one. It's meant to be one of the greatest coming-of-age novels next to Stephen King's It. So naturally, Stephen King's It is one of my favourite books of all time, so I figured, well, I'd be very surprised if I didn't enjoy this one. So I'm really looking forward to digging in. It will be my first book I will be reading for March. I may start a few pages tonight if I'm not too tired, and we'll start in earnest tomorrow to kick off the month. So really looking forward to that. Now I don't know how these vlogs work. I've seen a few on booktube, and I thought I'll have a go at it myself. Now with the actual format of this, some people check in daily with you about their reading progress. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. I might just go by page count alone. So what I might do is make this up with 4 or 5 separate videos to check in with you after I've read, say, 120 pages or what have you, and I'll be giving my thoughts and impressions all the way through without revealing too many spoilers in case you haven't read it yet. But I'm excited for my first reading vlog, so this was just the intro, and stay tuned folks, and I will touch base with you soon. See you later. So guys, this is my first check-in with my reading vlog for Boy's Life. I'm finding it really hard to put into words what I think of the book so far. I finished part 1 of the book, which brings me up to page 128. In those 128 pages, I've been blown away the whole time. I've been captivated by Robert R. McCammon's writing style. From the get-go, I had an instant rapport with the character of Corey, who is narrating the story from his point of view. It's just incredibly written. The language that's used is so lyrical. It's just so polished. You can't pick anything bad about it at all. I found the beginning really interesting in the fact that it hooked me in straight away, because you have a prologue of sorts where the narrator, Corey, in this instance, when he's a grown-up in his 40s, I believe, he foreshadows the whole thing. It just gives you enough information on, it'll let you know what he's thinking, and he tells me that he's going back in time to tell you his yarn on what happened back in the 1960s in his small town. And I find the setting of the 1960s is brilliant because it reminds you of your own childhood. Although I'm not, I wasn't born in the 60s, I'm an ex-Jenner, so my childhood was around the early to late 80s, but it still has you thinking and being wistful about your own childhood and what you missed about your childhood, and you'd give anything to just get a little bit of that back. And the graphic imagery that he uses, he doesn't lay it on thick. He describes things like even the items in Corey's room, and how small town life was back then. And back in the 60s, there's still a little bit of racial tension there within the town. And in the first 128 pages, McCammon has laid the groundwork. We've been introduced to quite a few main characters. I love the interaction between Corey and his dad. It's just so charming and innocent, and Corey's experience as he starts to begin experiencing things that will change him as he gets older. So a couple of things that happened in these in part one was just it blew me away, and there was a couple of really confronting scenes. One was, I'm not going to spoil anything here for those who haven't read it, but I found a couple of scenes really confronting in the middle of a certain natural disaster that happens. Now, people that read the book will know what I'm talking about. When Corey gets faced with he finds himself in an extremely dangerous situation, and he overcomes that, and it comes to the attention of a local Negro woman who is feared in the community because people think she's a witch. She's known in the book as the Lady, and there's a bit of misconception about her. People are afraid of her, but I liked the character of the Lady immediately. She reminded me a little bit of Mother Abigail from The Stand. I got a really good vibe around that. And just the fact that the book starts out with a mystery where Corey and his dad, he's joining his dad on his early morning milk run, and they come across a car that veers off the road in front of them and plunges into a local lake, which is reputed to be about 300 or 500 feet deep. And in the car there is a corpse who has piano wire around his neck, and he's handcuffed to the steering wheel and sinks to the bottom. And no one knows what happened, and it's an underlying mystery that is the whole basis for that the first part of the book. So I'm in for a treat here. I think I'm going to rip through this quicker than I thought because the pages just turn themselves. The writing style is so charming. It has an addictive quality. The writing is so lyrical, and you just find yourself, when I opened the first page and read a few pages, I felt like just settling in for a whole afternoon on the couch and just reading 300 pages. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury, given that I work full time from home, but this is going to be a book I'm predicting that will be a smash hit with me. Everything I've heard about the book, people haven't been wrong. It's just incredibly written, and look, I'm only through part one, and there's so much more to get through, so I'm really keen to find out what happens next. And if the book continues the way it's going and impressing me like it has, I wouldn't be surprised if this one became a real favourite for 2022. It's a big call, and I'm not going to call it too early, but after reading this, if I'm going to enjoy it like I think I will, I don't think any book will come close. It'll remain to be seen, but I could probably safely say it'll rank pretty high in my best books of 2022. So thank you to everyone who posted videos on booktube and promoted it and raved about it, because it did make me pick up the book. It had my curiosity piqued, and I'm certainly not regretting it. So a big thank you to those people, Sarah Reeds in particular, and Brian Lee Durfee, who talked the book up. And there's other booktubers there that they know who they are, and very grateful for that. So that was the first check-in. Hopefully by the next check-in I will be another 100 or 150 pages in, but it looks like this is going to be an absolutely rip-roaring read for me. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next check-in. So here we are with another check-in. I'm already 275 pages in. This book has been sensational. It's really calling it early, but it's going to go down as one of my favourite books of all time. I had no idea how much I would enjoy Robert McCammon's writing. I've been missing out, so I'm definitely going to be seeking out his other work. But let's give you an update. So I finished part 2 of the book, which took place over the entire summer of Corey's childhood, and it was just incredible. There's so much that happens in this part that advances the story and raises more questions that I'm craving the answers for. The stuff that actually happens in this part was incredible. It just had me on the edge of my seat, and I just need to know what's going to happen next. So we open part 2 where school's out for summer, just like the Alice Cooper song of the same name. So this is the part I really enjoyed, purely because you get to see how Corey spent that summer of 1964 in Zephyr, the small town in Alabama, how he spent his summer, and brings back your own memories of your own childhood. And it was just, for me, it was so nostalgic, even though my childhood was 2 decades later than the 60s, still has the same sort of charm to it, and you have that longing of just being able to have one day as a kid, particularly on days when you're sick of being an adult. It does happen. So Corey and his friends, Davey, Ray, Ben and Johnny, they kick off their summer with their annual ritual. So they pretend they're flying around this clearing, and it's really charming. It's just how they kick off their summer, and they have all sorts of plans, and they talk about what they're going to do. And what they do firstly is they go down to a local baseball pitch and just muck around and throw some pitches and smack some balls around. And they, by chance, they meet a new kid in town whose dad is a travelling salesman who sells pressed shirts, business shirts. And he's a new kid, and Corey and his friends try and befriend him. He's a skinny kid with glasses and has no confidence, but as soon as they put a baseball in his hand and encourage him to play, he just delivers these lightning quick pitches that is unheard of, and such power behind the pitches. And this kid hasn't played baseball before, and the kids ask him, well, where did you play? How did you do that? And he can't answer it. And that sort of gifted arm the kid has, his name's Nemo, it raises questions, and you think, well, how did he be that way? What's going on here? And I haven't got the answer to that yet, and I'm hoping it gets revealed later in the book. So they're playing baseball together, and then they have a run-in with 2 local bullies called the Brandlin brothers, who they're just rotten apples. So there's an altercation. I won't go into too much detail, but the detail of the scenes there were pretty brutal, and yeah, it just illustrates how rife bullying was in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and it's still going on. I don't think it'll ever stop. So other events that happen is it's the time where all the kids in the town, including the high school kids, they get exposed to a new Beach Boys song, and it's blaring all over the radios, and the local preacher goes off his nut, considering it blasphemous and evil, and he calls a meeting at the church, and there are events there that happen that just comes to a head. I'm not going to go into details about that. I've already spoiled a little bit. So after that, Corey visits with his grandpa, and he has done so for a few years. Once a year over the summer, he spends a week with them, and he made a bargain with his dad that if he goes and spends a week with his grandpa, that he'd be let out to go camping overnight with his friends. So we spend the week with Corey and Grandpa Jaybird, and we get to know a little bit more about how Jaybird works and what he's into and what kind of a man he is. And yeah, you find yourself despising him with what he does. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that either. We find Corey gets back home and he goes camping with his friends up in the woods. So they think they trek about 5 miles from the town, and they're settling down for the night, and then they witness some illegal activity, and they subsequently get chased, and Corey gets separated from his friends and gets lost in the woods. And eventually when he gets home, it's sort of ruined his summer a little bit, and before he actually arrives home, he does end up having a brief encounter with an older girl he finds really beautiful, and I enjoyed the scenes there. I'm not going to spoil anything there, but I found that quite good. It's all part of how this affects him and how it shapes him into the adult he becomes eventually. So one other thing that I found really touching in this part was where he had a dream about his teacher, and they had a conversation, and it was really touching, and found myself tearing up. So you know, making yourself long for just one day of your childhood back. So yeah, it was a really good scene. So now I'm going to start part 3. I'm a little bit tired tonight. I don't know how much I'll get through, but I plan on putting in a bit of a sesh tomorrow night, which is Friday night. Sit down for an hour or two and just really dig in, and hopefully find some of the answers I'm looking for. So there you go. So I'll check in another day or two, and I'll keep you up to speed. But I am enjoying this book a lot, and I'm already thinking it's going to have to take a special book to knock this one off. What I think is a potential #1 book for 2022. It's that good. If you haven't read the book, do read it. It is so worth it. There were so many similarities between this and Stephen King's It. So you've got you know, bad weather, you've got bullies, you've got childhood camaraderie and mateship, and vital ingredients that make up a fantastic story. And one other thing I'm picking up on in the book is the adults of the town. I'm getting an impression that there's a lot of history there from when the grown-ups were young as well. A lot of things under the surface that have been hidden, and that sort of thing. It's just an impression I'm getting. I could be wrong, but I find that fascinating as well. So there you go, and I'll be checking in with you pretty soon. So now I'm up to page 391, and I've got 188 pages to go, and normally I'd give a check-in when I finish each part, but I'm thinking, look, it's Saturday morning, haven't got a lot on today, 188 pages, I think I can just go for it and try and finish by tonight. So or tomorrow morning at the latest, just seeing how I go. Just want to have a quick chat about part 3, because I didn't want to wait until I'd finished part 3, because certain things affected me, and people who know, in part 3, a mini chapter called Case 3432, it's probably the scenes that affected me the most. My heart broke into. It you know, I really felt for Corey with what actually happened, and I was really impressed with how he dealt with this particular tragedy. And it just goes to show you how you can have the courage or the ability to let something go that you love, and really affected me. So I really felt for him there. We are getting closer to getting some revelations. There's a bit more about what's going on in the underbelly of the town with some key characters. One of the characters, called Vernon, is the son of the man who pretty much owns the town, and he has this thing where he walks around town naked, and you wonder why he does that. And the townsfolk give him a wide berth whenever he's out in public. But after reading a certain couple of scenes last night, I got closer to an answer as to why he actually goes around naked, which is pretty a really good revelation. So getting closer to having answers. I'm still waiting to get an answer about how Nemo, the new kid, how he managed to pitch baseball so quick and had that gifted arm, and his scenes finished pretty abruptly. So I'm waiting for an answer to that, but the writing is still unbelievable. Robert McCammon, he's going to go down as one of my new favourite authors. I'm going to devour whatever he's got on the backlist. So I don't mind this format of the vlog I'm doing. It means I can just relax a little bit, go unscripted, not refer to any notes or anything like that. Don't have to edit anything really. So I like the sort of laid back format of this, and I've enjoyed sharing my thoughts with you, and by the time I check in, I'm hoping to be finished, and then I can deliver some final thoughts and an overall review of the book. But yeah, I've found myself really addicted and just keep turning pages. You just can't help it. You have to find out what's going on. I'm particularly interested in Corey's dad, with what's going to happen with him. He's in a crisis at the moment. He cannot shake what actually happened with the car going into the lake at the beginning of the book, and I'm just yeah, can't wait to see how that actually pans out for him. So in the last 188 pages, I think I'm going to find out some really good revelations. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next check-in. Sorry guys, I just need to collect my thoughts here for a minute. I finished the book a short while ago, and I'm still picking up my jaw from the floor. It was such a satisfying ending to the book, and just some general thoughts here. I found overall with this book, it couldn't be rushed. You are rewarded for your patience, and you get your answers at the end. So the thing about this book is, with most of the books I read, I find that when I get to the last 100 pages, I just race to the finish line. I still absorb the material, but I find myself anxious to get to the next book. With Boy's Life, I weren't in a rush. I took my time with it, even though I read it fairly quickly over the last 6 days. I savoured it, and I thought, I originally, in my last check-in, I was going to do a race to the finish line, and I thought, well, no, I am loving this book so much, I wanted to just savour it a little bit. And even though the climax was fast approaching, this morning I even just took a break, to which was hard to do, and just do a few jobs and things like that, and come back to it and just savour the last 50 pages or so. So much to talk about with this book. I think in the final part that I read, there were some really intense action scenes between some certain members of the town against local bootleggers or moonshiners. That was pretty intense and very thrilling, nail-biting stuff. I think the best part about the final part of the book is you actually get to know the lady a little bit better. She's the African-American woman that lives in one of the poorer suburbs there, that she's reputed to be a witch, but it's just not the case. And it's amazing how you can judge a book by its cover. People shun the lady because not only because she's black, but because they are scared of her because she's a little bit different. And I really like, she became one of my favourite characters in the book, very much reminiscent of Mother Abigail from The Stand. I really enjoyed reading her. Now with Corey, he just overcomes pretty frightening experiences, which just makes him a better person as an adult. I think the grief he experiences in this book, and the fears he experiences in this book contribute to him becoming a really good person. And I just found throughout the whole book I teared up a couple of times. My heart broke when with the scenes with Rebel, and I'm not spoiling anything, but people who've read the book know what I'm talking about here. It was really heart-wrenching stuff, and another loss of a much liked character as well, which tugs on the heartstrings a little bit. But right towards the end of the book, I was tearing up because he at the end of the book he takes a trip down memory lane and he goes through the whole nostalgia thing. So he narrates the book as a grown-up, and he returns to Zephyr when he's a grown-up, and he experiences all the memories coming flooding back, and he has a bit of a chat with another character. But it's so hard not to spoil anything, so I may do a spoiler chat at some stage. But I think when I finish the book, I know how many people love the book, and all I want to do is just talk to everyone about the book all day. I just got so many emotions going through this book, and if I was to sum it up, I've got a lot of books to get through this year, and it's going to take a very special book to surpass this one. I mentioned in the last video, where has Robert R. McCammon been in my life? I sort of knew the name, a little bit thrown around here and there, and it wasn't until I was looking at booktube videos that I heard people talking about this book, and it certainly lives up to its reputation. I had no idea it was going to be this good. Opening the first few pages, I was drawn in straight away, and I love a lot of the characters in the book. Corey is just an inspiration, and even things like, without spoiling too much, I love his bike that he gets in the book. I just felt a couple of moments with that bike were just unbelievable, and I think the part I enjoyed about the book overall is the revelation of the mystery finally being solved about the dead body plunging into the lake in the car, sinking into its depths, and no one knows what happened. But the revelation at the end, I was sitting next to my wife on the couch, and I literally said, "Oh my God," out loud. And I'm like, "Oh my God." Sorry guys, I'm a bit excited because I like having a satisfactory ending to a book, and it was a satisfactory ending. And with the murderer revealed at the end, there was there was justice delivered, but it wasn't in the way you think, and I felt that McCammon did justice by the character for that. Really hard to explain, but as I said, without spoiling too much, but it was a very satisfying end. I loved the character growth of Tom, Corey's dad, throughout the whole book. He goes through the ringer, and he comes out the other side a lot stronger, and he overcomes his fears, and he was one of the people that was also scared of the lady, and how his view towards her changes over the book. There's so many moments in the book that just make you think Robert McCammon is unbelievable. I read the paperback copy here that I picked up very cheaply now. When I heard about the book, I was intrigued, and I couldn't wait to get a copy, so I didn't even order it on Amazon. I just looked for the nearest copy at a moment's notice, and just grabbed one from my local second-hand bookstore and got stuck in that day. And I don't regret it for a second. I've said that Stephen King's The Shining is my favourite book of all time. This book has the potential to take the top spot. I'm not kidding. A book that can make you cry, a book that can make you savour the ending, a book that can make you crave answers and get the answers is just unbelievable. The writing about the childhood over the summer, it just it just captures you, and you just can't help but want to read more, and it makes you crave back a little bit of your own childhood. When we become adults, we get caught up in life and responsibilities, and I remember when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, you didn't have mobile phones or technology or internet or YouTube. you relied on your imagination, and I think Robert McCammon captured that beautifully. How he encompassed small town life, how he wrote the characters. The characters are so richly written that they're like real people, and you know, it's going to take a very, very special book this year to compete with this one. So that's how strongly I feel about it. I'm even going to shell out some coin and buy myself a really, really nice copy that I can keep forever. And yeah, get emotional about this book. But yeah, it was a good read. It was a good read. And cried at the last page. So there you go. So that is it from me. I enjoyed doing the vlog. I like the laid back format of doing the videos. I didn't have to edit anything. If I was in my pajamas or looking a little bit rough, who cares? But yeah, really, really good experience, and I can't wait to pick up more of McCammon's stuff. So hope you enjoyed the vlog with me, and if you haven't read the book, please read it. Yeah, it does have some horror elements in it, but they are overshadowed by the strength of the characters, the courage of the characters, and just the overall story, and an irresistible mystery, which I think one of the main things I really enjoyed about the book was you had the underlying mystery at the heart of the book, but then McCammon had a really good way of distracting you from trying to figure things out, because you were enthralled with other characters and what they were doing. But overall, if I could give it 6 stars out of 5, I would. It was that good. So thanks for watching, people, and until next time, see you later.